Hey, are you a business owner, entrepreneur, or professional? If so, we want you to apply to be a featured guest on our show. My name is Adam Torres, and I host the Mission Matters series of podcasts. I've recorded over 3,000 episodes, and we are just getting started. How do you know if you'd be a good guest to be on the show? Well, only one way to find out, and that's to apply, but I'm going to let you in on a little secret. We want guests that have a story to tell, guests with a brand, a product, or a service that can benefit my audience of listeners. If this sounds like you, go to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. I'd love to talk to you and get to know more about your story. Again, head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, now let's get into the show. Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres to keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Todd Peirce on the line, and he's author and owner over at Peirce Consulting. Todd, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Adam. It's fun to be here. I appreciate the opportunity.
Oh, man, so great to have you here, and excited today to talk about today's topic, which is customer communication is the cornerstone of project management and profits, and I know that you're an expert at that. So maybe just start off by telling us a little bit more about what you're doing over at Peirce Consulting.
Sure, you bet. I've been in construction now for about 12 years. Got into it in California, where I just luckily the market was climbing, and it felt like, oh man, I had the Midas touch. Anything I did just kind of seemed to appreciate and do well. So, we then had kids, and we moved to Colorado and started a construction company here, and then hit the 08, 09 market and found out that, I don't have the Midas touch. So I got into just really doing kind of one-off design build, customer, client hired construction for remodels, full house designs, pop tops, additions, that sort of thing. And over the course of that 12 years, I just was, I've done millions of dollars worth of projects. And the one thing that I felt like I kept tripping over was just surrounding myself 100% with the right people. There were always, people that I would hire, deals that I would try and get, barter the prices, and it was, and things just, they'd never flowed like I wanted them to. So I started Peirce Consulting to really give the customers a different experience, more of an advocate really for the customers, to look for, what to and what not to look for when hiring a remodeling team. So based on that experience, that I've had for the last 12 years, I now have the consulting piece where, I can put teams together for the client, or I can just simply be a consultant and help them figure out what trade to hire and why.
That's awesome. And all right, now I'd like to move on to our Mission Matters question. And so our goal here and our mission at Mission Matters is to really amplify the stories of entrepreneurs, executives, and experts. Todd, what mission matters to you?
To stay inspired. I mean, for me personally, it's to stay inspired, to stay in the lane of, passion and kind of what gets you up in the morning and to break out of the routine and the monotony of the day to day. So, what mission matters to me is just really being passionate about my customers and making sure that they're getting the service that they're paying for, and then at the same time, kind of redeveloping the whole model of construction and the process that is attached to it.
That's awesome. Love bringing mission-based entrepreneurs and businesses on the show. And so, Todd, what do you enjoy most when working with homeowners on their home transformations?
Well, I always enjoy the transformation itself. It's a very tangible thing to see a home, go from 1970s to modern, or to restore a home. We've got some houses that are built in the early 1900s, and we've restored them to look just like they were then. So I think, I enjoy the process of construction. I enjoy the tangible, aspect of it and seeing something that's, that's very rewarding.
So earlier in the interview, you mentioned the consulting side of home remodeling. Like, why don't we hear more about that side of the industry?
Boy, I don't know. I think that's one of the reasons I started it. Is just there's nothing out there. Homeowners. To give you a good example of why I started it is because a friend of mine in California, he said, "Hey, Todd, you're in construction. I need some advice. What am I doing here?" He's going through a divorce, and they had to kind of rehab the house because they needed to sell it and divide it. And it just like they didn't know anything about construction. They were getting bids that were, $65,000 for a roof. And I'm like, dude, that's crazy. Let's bring these contractors in. Let's Zoom call them or FaceTime them and let me ask the questions and let's get you a better price. So long story short on that one is just the customers don't know what they don't know. And construction, it's amazing. They're signing these $100,000 agreements on a one-page handwritten bid that has no accountability, no schedule. So the consultant piece it's a missing element, and it seems like kind of a no-brainer.
Wow, that is interesting. And I feel like there's a lot of room for growth on that side of things. Just hearing you say that, I mean, you're saying a one-pager, like very simple in terms of contracts, things like that. And what's the horror side of that when people don't go the consulting route? Because I feel like if people knew that they would go it and then they don't know it's an option, like what can happen when they don't think about those things?
Well, there's a lot of things that can happen, and not to be fear-based at all. But
sure.
You get contractors that'll have too many jobs. They'll take your money and it'll be a sizable deposit, and it'll pay for another job, or they'll just they'll just kind of disappear, and you gotta chase them for the $30,000. You got contractors that'll take forever. They've got no accountability, and they say it's going to take 3 weeks, and it's like 5 months, which is a huge inconvenience to the homeowner. I mean, that's your house, you're living in it, and you got to deal with the text messages and the emails and the phone calls, like, where are you? So I think there's a lot of things, right? And it's your property. I mean, liens can be filed. You want to be protected. You just want to, you want to make sure that the people you're hiring are vetted.
Yeah, that makes sense. What do you think is the biggest thing that homeowners don't do, and it becomes a mistake when they're looking to do a remodel?
I don't think they have a clear enough understanding of the costs and the schedule. So I think they really need to, when contractors just kind of lump all kinds of scope of work under one little tab, they need to have that line item and understand, what is my material cost, what is my labor cost, and what is the schedule. I mean, really, the schedule I think is the biggest thing. There's so many contractors that will bleed a schedule, and to be honest, they lose money when they do that, but they're not equipped to manage it right. So I think you got to have milestones in place for the contractor, and you got to release funds accordingly. They're bits and pieces of funds based on progress.
Do you also work with like investors or rehabs, other properties like that, or is it strictly like residential homeowners?
No, we work with investors as well. We've got another company called Selling Solutions, which basically will help homeowners sell their house. We'll come in and we'll invest on the remodel side, so they don't have to come out of pocket anything. And then we'll just take a fee when the house sells. But that's another company that we have, but we certainly work with investors on the same type of concept.
What markets are you involved in? Like geography.
Sure. All of Denver. I mean, Denver, and it's not just Denver, but the Front Range, I would say, in Colorado is pretty much our backbone. We are in Central California, Thousand Oaks, Ventura County, a little bit of LA County, trying to get into that. We're in the Tucson market, and we're trying to get into the Nevada market right now.
Man, that's awesome. Love it. I love to see these mission-based entrepreneurs out there working, getting it done, man. A lot of different markets and expanding, it sounds like, so that's great. So, Todd, have to say it has been awesome having you on the show today, and I enjoyed learning more about Peirce Consulting, your work, and definitely took away those tips in terms of things that people should think about in terms a schedule when hiring a contractor, hire a consultant. I like that you mentioned also that you doing Zoom calls and Zoom and consulting remotely. So technically speaking, obviously you're involved in the other markets, but if somebody's looking on the consulting piece, I mean, anywhere in the United States, they could hire you. Is that accurate?
That's 100% accurate. That's all we're doing in California and Arizona.
Fantastic. So Todd, what's the best way if somebody's listening to this right now and they want to follow up and learn more about Peirce Consulting? What's the best way for people to do that?
Well, simplest way is to go to peirceconsulting.com. The spelling of my name is funky. It's E before I, so it's PEIRCE consulting.com. And then we're on all the social media. So you've got Instagram as one of our, that's our main driver, and then of course Facebook. Fantastic.
Well, Todd, again, thank you for coming on the show today. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. Hope you learned a lot. If you did, don't forget, hit that subscribe button. We definitely want you to be a return listener and a return visitor. And Todd, thank you again for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Adam. Appreciate it.